Batman doesn't look or act like a conventional superhero. He wears all black. He's known for his brutal methods, and the character's primary tool is to scare criminals into submission. On all accounts, he should have turned out like a villain, but somehow he persevered and elevated himself as a symbol of hope for all the people of Gotham City. However, when you take away all the positives of Batman, all you're left with is the darker traits. The one willing to spy on others, the one willing to lobotomize his own children, the one who without Alfred would have been a deranged, psychotic vigilante. A lot of stories explore this idea of Batman losing his morals in unique ways, especially when it comes to fan-made projects. The Arkham Tapes is a series of interviews, archival footage, and news reports documenting Batman and his rogues gallery in a series of sinister events that foreshadow future tragic events to come. The Bat Incident is an analog horror focusing on a darker version of a traditional Batman story, where the character lacks any form of emotional support, causing him to go down a dark path that'll bring misery to Gotham City. Batman Black Box is an interactive website that strangely disappears and reappears on a whim. The site is filled with lore details and strange videos telling the story of three reporters investigating an urban legend known as Batman through many sightings, first-hand accounts, and the tracking of the Black Box, a mysterious aerial object which, when in the vicinity, is said to induce hallucinations and a feeling of oppressive fear, causing the people of Gotham to live in a state of perpetual anxiety. Batman in this story isn't evil. He just embraces his urban legend status to an extreme degree, and he will attempt to maintain that status through extreme forms of psychological warfare and morally deplorable actions. In this video, I thought it would be cool to explain what makes Batman so terrifying from the perspective of the criminals and ordinary citizens of Gotham City. Let's look at how some fan-made stories and even many comics and films embrace the fear factor of the character to figure out how scary it would be for Batman to hunt you.
Thank you so much for joining this episode of the Batman Sightings. In 1942, the Black Box appeared in the skies of Gotham City. The object isn't known in origin, but as far as observers know, it doesn't do anything of note. It just floats there emitting no kind of noise whatsoever. The object appears randomly in many parts of Gotham around the hours of 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. in which it vanishes without a trace. Individuals who have approached the Black Box have also reported sudden increased anxiety, coupled with horrific visual and audible hallucinations. Hello, Michael.
The story of Batman Black Box begins with two men in a car frantically driving away. You see, these two men were recently a part of a bank robbery, where unfortunately one of their members, Dustin, was mysteriously abducted by a figure hidden within their old hideout. Spooked by the whole event, the two remaining members barely manage to escape and now seek a new place to lie low.
Someone's following us.
Maybe it's just paranoia, but recently the two thugs have felt a heightened sense of anxiety in recent times. Perhaps that's why they believe the vehicle had been following them for the past 20 minutes. It's hard to see as it blends in with the darkness, but it didn't look like any vehicle model they'd ever seen before. Even more strange, the vehicle made no sound and all streetlights seemed to dim when the car approached. Above the vehicle flies a dark object in the night sky. It's hard to determine what it is, appearing like a black box. But what they do know is that they've seen this object for the past couple of days, almost as if it was watching them. But honestly, it could just be a huge coincidence, a result of their unexplained heightened anxiety. This idea of Batman invoking a sense of paranoia and fear from criminals of Gotham City is explored in many ways, showing just how superstitious fear of the character can often influence the decisions of the criminals. It's a primal instinct to fear the unknown, like how many children run up the stairs believing there's a monster chasing them or seeing a figure at the corner of your eye. The fear isn't that something is there, but the uncertainty of it, a boogeyman of sorts, someone who should not exist past the confines of horror stories in your mind, but you'd rather not peek through the corner to see for yourself what's on the other side. In the comics, one of Batman's most vital traits, at least early on in his career, was his status as an urban legend. Many narratives, particularly ones that explore Batman's early years, embrace this aspect of him as a myth. Is there truly a creature waiting on the other side? Or am I just being paranoid? This title of being an urban legend is often very short-lived, as that status is usually taken away a couple minutes into his stories, and Batman becomes a heroic figure in the end. However, the story Batman Arkham Knight subverts this concept. In Batman Arkham Knight, we learn that Batman's elevation into an icon has led to dire consequences. Nobody fears him anymore. He's become like a celebrity within Gotham City. Sure, criminals would rather not run into him, but it's not like they're superstitiously afraid of his presence. And often, many criminals become bolder because of it. In the story, Batman decides to grow past and discard his legend and becomes something else, another urban myth that is spoken as rumor within the universe. Luckily, as the thugs drive, they finally notice a home they can take refuge within, and as long as they silence the residents within, they can stay, at least for the night. The two men enter the home, doing whatever they pleased, as if they owned it, with no fear of anyone coming to stop them. The night started pretty bad, but luckily, their luck is beginning to turn. Batman isn't an urban legend, he's a tangible figure, and to the criminals of Gotham, they'll realize just how real he is, at least for tonight, and tonight only. The thing about Batman is that the paranoia is much more potent when he transcends being an urban legend and becomes a figure you for sure know exists. It creates an intense feeling. You know he's out there now, and it's no longer if he'll come after you, but when. Since Batman is often known to come from the shadows, your fear causes you to look over your shoulder, waiting for the moment he jumps out. However, the thing about Batman is that that moment is something you can never predict. This concept of the visceral fear that can arise from the idea of Batman stalking you and attacking at any moment is perfectly demonstrated in the story Gotham Knights number 19, The Factor of Fear. The plot revolves around a group of 3 criminals, and recently they've gotten a tip that a truck carrying electronics will be passing by, so it's a perfect opportunity to get rich. The leader of the group, Titus, is an interesting person. Although the truck driver he hijacked offered everything to him to avoid confrontation, Titus attacked him because he wanted to create the impression that he was a dangerous criminal. Due to his ego, Titus also is not afraid of Batman, believing that if he ever encountered him, he'd give him the left-right good night in a brawl. But as we come to realize, Titus is a much bigger coward would lead viewers to believe. We see Titus trying to evade Batman as he chases him all over Gotham City. In the end, the fear of the figure makes him so scared that he collapses on the ground and gives up entirely on escaping. However, as we come to realize, Batman is never present in many of these moments where Titus believes to see his shadow, which was simply caused by objects in the environment, creating the illusion that Batman was hunting him.
He's here.
Who's here?
He came out of the closet.
Tim, nobody's here. What are you talking about? Oh, him.
There's a really good trailer for a hypothetical Batman film called Batman Gotham Nightmare. The trailer was uploaded by the user Dark Monolith Expanse, and it seems to be a story that revolves around the average citizen and criminal's reaction to Batman and the type of fear such a figure can generate.
He's done awful things to people, and he'll do awful things to you.
Hey, Jesse, I found an exit in here. Come on.
Hey Jesse, behind you.
Oh hey Desmond, welcome. The door's open.
It's not something we often think about, but Batman is pretty good at pretending to be other people. He's known to have several different aliases, which he uses in the criminal underworld and even the public, to the point where his acting skills can even trick the most cunning individuals in the DC universe. I think there's something scary about that. The idea that Batman could be sitting right next to you and you'd have no idea. There aren't many stories, to my knowledge at least, where Batman uses his acting skill to fool and scare criminals. However, there is a fan-made story that explores this concept. Batman Nightfall is a fan film created by the filmmaker Abby Silva Pictures Animation. The story explores a group of criminals trying to escape Batman and the GCPD after stealing an object called the Philosopher's Stone. Batman is treated like a villain in the story, as the narrative is in the POV of the criminals.
I can't see you, Rome. Just come closer.
There's a moment in the film where one criminal hears another calling out to them from the shadows. However, as he makes his way towards the sound, we realize that it wasn't his friend, but Batman mimicking his voice.
Graves?
The spoils of war.
Black Spider just kicked the bat's ass?
Of course, the more impact Batman makes on Gotham City, the less of a shadowy and mysterious figure he becomes, elevating to less of a cryptic figure and more of someone who's a household name. In stories like Batman v Superman, Batman being a well-known figure doesn't make criminals less scared of him. He chose to increase his aggression and violence to the point of murder and branding the criminals with a mark. Batman may be well known, sure, but it doesn't make him any less scary.
Justice, 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 justice.
Keep an eye on them at all times, especially children, so that they don't get away.
And you lose them forever. You don't want that to happen, do you?
Step 2.
Lock all your doors and windows, so they don't go out. Don't let them make contact with the bat, under any circumstance.
One story that does a great job with the concept of Batman being a well-known figure in Gotham, but still terrifying regardless, and one that uses every single trait I've mentioned, is the Bat Incident, created by user Siltrix. The Bat Incident is an analog horror series that horrifically reinvents the Batman mythos. The series is structured and told through a series of private video recordings, PSAs, and newspapers. They detail a series of events orchestrated by an individual known as the Bat. The Bat is a vigilante, described as lanky, malnourished man wearing a bat costume. This man is said to possess superhuman strength and agility, and he can appear and disappear without a trace. You'd think that the Bat is similar to the character we all know in terms of morality, but that could not be farther from the truth. Much like Batman's traditional origin, Bruce Wayne witnessed the death of his parents, swearing vengeance against the criminals of Gotham City. However, something else happens that we don't usually account for in a Batman universe. Shortly after the death of the Wayne family, Alfred dies. That's not good. Typically, when the Waynes pass away, Alfred serves as Bruce's surrogate father, an emotional and moral support. With Alfred dead in this universe, nothing will stop Bruce from spiraling out of control. It's been said that Bruce never left Gotham City. This version of Batman isolated himself within the depths of the earth, whispering in incoherent rabble about him being vengeance, the night, and justice. It's unclear how long he was stuck in the depths of the earth for, but eventually he'd crawl out of these depths and emerge as something different. One of the first significant events orchestrated by Batman is known as the Bat Incident. It was a show of force, a way of showing the people of Gotham that the city would no longer be the same. Batman proceeded to murder multiple dangerous criminals in brutal ways, ones in which I don't want to describe due to just how cruel they are. This Batman is obsessed with peace in Gotham City, no matter the cost. This is shown with the most notable aspect of this version of Batman, which is his tendency to kidnap children. After kidnapping them, he subjects them to brainwashing, turning each one into a mindless, enslaved person who helps Batman on his vengeful crusade. It's clear that Bruce in the end is a lonely man, one who seeks to be a part of a family once again. That's why he kidnapped children. That's why he kidnapped Catwoman to be his pseudo-wife. and that's why he waits within the depths of Wayne Manor to one day return to bring terror to Gotham City. Now, one interesting element about this version of Batman is that he utilizes tools his villains are often known to use. He possesses super strength and speed, as it's been said that he uses venom to boost his physical stats. He also uses fear toxin in his crusade. This is a unique concept for a Batman story. However, there's another Batman horror series that used this idea a year prior.
Case file number 00001. Subject alias, the Batman. Originally embarking on a crusade to help Gotham, the subject is no longer seeking to fight crime. He is seeking to eradicate it.
The Arkham Tapes is an analog horror series created by the channel Batfeed. Remember the audio tapes from the Arkham games and how they told entire narratives on their own. This series was essentially that, consisting of audio recordings, training videos, and interviews with Arkham staff and their experiences within the Batman universe.
Otherwise known as the Joker. Patient has no other known alias.
Don't need an alias when you have a winning smile, eh, Doc?
Very funny.
The series also employs a series of archival footage, security cameras, and news reports to tell its narrative, giving us a unique look into just how different this Batman universe and its characters are.
Don't touch me!
I just want to share my disease.
Don't!
For example, Professor Pig is basically the purple guy from Five Nights at Freddy's, a man who integrated himself with an animatronic known as Professor Pig, and he goes around stuffing people into his animatronic suits, calling them the Dollatrons. Scarecrow is a man who through his fear experiments managed to tap into and gain the ability to enter another dimension, a dimension of fear, which people with shared experiences would end up being able to shift in and out of that reality. Many other villains in the universe are pretty different than what we're used to, but I think the most interesting character in this story is Batman himself. Now, Batman's character is very tragic in this world. As far as we can tell, his actions were noble. However, as his villains continued to increase in power, and the more the futility of his crusade became apparent, Batman started to become desperate. After a particular event, he began to change. Using his resources, he managed to copy the attributes and abilities of many of his villains, increasing his power to newfound levels. He possessed increased strength due to biological enhancements. He could phase shift into the fear dimension, possessed altered physiology due to Man-Bat's formula, and had other strange abilities that are still unknown as of right now. However, one thing's for sure, taking on all these new abilities has turned Batman into something else. It's hard to say that he's even human anymore, developing into an unstoppable monster.
This is Gotham Tonight. I'm here at the scene of the crime where the Miller family said that a strange shadow took out all the criminals that invaded their home last night. I'm here with one of the witnesses, Sandra Miller, who says she saw the whole thing from underneath her bed. Hello there, sweetheart. So everyone here believes that you saw the Batman. Ooh. So, can you tell the audience, do you think Batman is evil?
I found you, Sandra.